Okay, now that we have all of our parts removed, we have the tie rod off completely, the lock plate, the boot, we're ready to reinstall. Now we have our new tie rod, which is complete with the inner end, the boot holder, and the outer end. This is the way we prefer to do our tie rods, complete assemblies, and we sell them at BAV Auto that way. So we have a new outer end, boot, and the new joint on the inner end, and a fresh adjuster that's not all rusty and is much easier to adjust. We have our new boot, the lock plate for the inner end, and we have new clamps for the boot as well. So the first thing we're going to do is to put the washer onto the tie rod end and thread it into the rack. We'll come back and show you a little bit closer doing this job. All right, now we are ready for reassembly, our inner end and our outer end. So again, we have our tie rod here with the lock plate already slid on. Now we're also going to take the boot and slide it over the complete tie rod as well. We will move it past this mount for the inner end. And just continue to slide down like that. So now we will start threading into the end of the rack. Now sometimes you'll have to angle a little bit to get the thread started because your outer end might be interfering over here. So just work with it until you can get the thread started. Now you notice I am turning this end, and the complete tie rod is turning, but the outer end isn't turning. I'm actually turning the adjuster, which is here, and we'll take care of that in a second. We have to get a pre-adjustment on this so the car is drivable before we go get an alignment to readjust our front end toe, and we'll address that shortly. So we'll tighten this up, and again we'll use our tool. Get the tool on here. Now, also, before we adjust, we want to make sure that the tab on the lock plate is into the slot on the back side of the rack here, which you can't see, but it's all the way flush. If it was not in the slot, I wouldn't be able to thread this end all the way down flush. So just make sure of that before you start tightening, or you'll crush the tab. Tighten those nuts. And tighten the end here. There we go. Now we'll remove the tool, and then we will take care of flattening these edges on the lock plate against the flats on the tie rod. All right, so now we have just a smaller hammer, and just going to beat these sides over flush. Okay, there's one. And again, that will keep this end from accidentally loosening. And we'll come over here and we'll do the other one. Okay, there, both are done. We're ready to get the boot up into place. Before we do, though, we want to make a quick adjustment compared to the old tie rod. So I'm going to come around the other side, and we're going to put the end flush with the end of the new one and come out and compare length to the end here. Now, we can either do it manually up like this or take a measurement on the workbench of that distance from this flat over to the center of the joint, right through the center, because we can't measure to the end here because the new casting could be slightly different. We're going to go right from the center of the pin right to the face of the joint over here. I'm going to take this measurement on the workbench, since this end's so floppy, and then come back and transfer it here. Okay, now I've got a measurement of about 15 5/16. So from the center of the joint over to the flat, I'm going to run that to 15 5/16. And again, this is only going to be just enough so you can drive the vehicle without totally killing your tires until you can get the toe actually set. Okay, that's good there. So we're going to keep that adjustment right there. Now, this pinch bolt right here is what holds the adjustment. So I'm going to give that a little bit of tightening right now so I don't accidentally change my setting. And just give it a little bit of pinch so that the end doesn't just totally move freely. Okay? All right, now that we have our adjustment made, we're ready to insert the end into the spindle here. Now, before we do that, we're going to coat the pin with the Lubramali anti-seize compound. This will, in the future, make sure that this joint comes apart nicely. We'll just coat the pin a little bit and go ahead and insert it into the spindle here. Okay, there we go. Put the nut on. This is a new lock nut that comes with the tie rod. And let's see, this particular one is 17 millimeters. Now, in tightening, especially with that anti-seize compound, the whole stud may turn with the nut since it's a lock nut. So what we can do is, one, tap the joint up into place to get that tapered spindle tight in the eyelet. Or if we're really having problems, we could put a jack under here to put a little bit of upward pressure, and that would take care of it. This should be enough on this one. All right, now we're going to finish up with our torque wrench. The torque specification for this is in the applicable Bentley repair manual. This one for this chassis, which is an E30 series, is 26 foot-pounds. There we go. So we're tight there. That's all set. We have the inboard end taken care of. All we have to do is get our boot in place and get the clamps on the boot. Let's take care of that now. So we'll slide the inboard end up over the flange on the rack here. Okay, there we go. That's secure. And get the outboard end over this rubber mount. There we go. Now we're ready for the clamps. Okay, now we're ready to install our clamps on the boot. That would be these. We have an inner and an outer. And these are very easy to install, but we do need a special tool that crimps the area here that gets pinched. So to take this clamp apart, there's male tabs and female slots here. We'll just push it and pull it apart. There we go. There's the male tabs and our female slots. We have a large size and a small size. On the inboard end, we'll use the large. On the outboard end, we'll use the small. So we just put this around the boot and make sure it's in the recess. And we'll just work this closed and catch those tabs right here with the female holes here. There you go, right there. And get our crimp in a spot where the tool can get onto it. Right here should be good, right there. And we'll do our outboard one. Now I'll show you what the crimp tool does before we install this. Here's the tool, and it's got a jaw on the end. The tool crimps on right here, and we squeeze to make that familiar mushroom shape that we've seen on these clamps for both steering rack boots as well as axle boots. So let's get our inboard one on. Again, pull it apart. Let's go this way, around the boot. Now remember, on this one it's smaller, so we're going to go to those inboard shorter holes right there. Make sure everything's aligned where it should be. Okay, now we're ready to crimp both. Got the tool up on the head as I showed you, like this, and just pinch. Like that. Very easy with the proper tool. And again, this tool is available on our website at bavauto.com, as well as the rest of the tools you've seen us use. So this is all set. We're all set on the outer end. We're going to make sure this clamp is tight, but we do need to do an initial toe adjustment before we drive the car. Now, if our measurement is pretty good, we can do that and go get our alignment, or we can do a tape measure toe adjustment, which involves running a tape measure from one tire to the other tire, hooking in the tread blocks at the front and comparing that measurement to the rear. And we just would want the front measurement to be about a 1/16 to an 1/8 inch shorter than the rear measurement, preferably a 1/16. That'll allow you to drive the car until you can get an alignment done without chewing your tires up. So this job is all set. Now don't forget, if you've liked what you've watched here, push your like button and send us some comments. Additionally, you can like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And don't forget, visit our website at bavauto.com. Now go ahead, take care of your tie rods. We're going to go on to another video. Thanks for watching.